Okay, real quick, because we got a long review ahead of us. I go into a lot of different things today. So, first and foremost, disclaimer about the refuse talk. I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear that I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I'm picking up trash. I just do it because it's been a habit of mine. Anytime that I go out somewhere public or national parks or anything like that, I try to pick up at least one piece of trash. And that's just my secret to everybody, is that I'm growing up as a kid. I've always just been so heartbroken to see such garbage being thrown around and no one picking it up, and it doesn't hurt any to just bend over and get one piece of trash. So I want to make that clear. It sounds like I'm holier than thou because I'm picking up trash and nobody else is. I just wanted to share that because this is a very personal journey of mine going through this stuff, and I think it's okay to mention the things that I do personally and with no one watching, because it's just a habit of mine that I like to do, and it makes me feel better about trying to keep a place nice and neat. Okay, so that's number one. Then number two, I forgot to mention another nuance, which was the imbalance of the pistol. When you don't have a full magazine in and you're holding the Ruger, it can feel like it's a little top heavy, but that's just, the nature of the beast. I think that'll change with the other full-size modular grip frame, and it may be more accentuated with the subcompact. So I'll definitely will note that in more little nuances. But I did forget to mention that because I say it in the video and then I don't put in the nuances. So those are the only two things. Please enjoy. We'll not have an outro. Everything is there. Everything's accounted for. Enjoy, and thank you so much.
This video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. All firearm handling shown is performed by trained individuals in a controlled environment. Always follow the 4 rules of gun safety. Number 1, treat your firearm as if it is loaded. Number 2, never point a firearm at anything you do not intend to destroy. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Number 4, be sure of your target and what's beyond it. Comply with all local, state, and federal laws regarding firearms. Do not attempt to replicate any action seen in this video without proper training and safety measures. The creators assume no liability for misuse or unsafe practices.
Thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I'm going to just do a quick overview and but topic about where I shoot, the different places where I shoot. I shoot on Bureau of Land Management land, and it's federal land. It's owned by the government, and obviously we can see there's a lot of trash, a lot of refuse, a lot of waste that's left behind by people that do choose to utilize the area for whatever reasons, right? And there's been a lot of waste since I've been shooting here beginning last year. Beautiful land, as you can see. It's just picturesque and ever so lovely, but it suffers from a lot of people that don't take pride in their home, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Sometimes I shoot over here a little bit longer range, but beautiful backdrop, and this is the echoes that you hear when I'm shooting. So that you'll see later on when I shoot 50 yards and get out there. But yeah, it's something that I enjoy, and I want to keep preserved as best I can. By the way, this is 100 yards to that rock right there, 100 yards. So this is where I shoot from in my desk. You'll see this is 10 yards, and then 15, and back there's 20, and then 30, and then 50, and then 100. Okay, so back to the whole land part. You could see there's shell casings, there's little but round holders, plastic holders, and big pieces of trash, tires, and I actually utilize tires for the camera setup from time to time. And then my table, and then I have my bucket that I collect brass, all the brass that I shoot. I picked up one today, which was not mine, but for the most part, this is where all of the brass culminates. And when I talk about all of my, I gotta watch out for the bugs. I got some stink bugs beetles. They're trying to get some sun, I guess, in the morning, waking up. Anyway, so I collect my brass. That's why the ejection pattern is pretty important to me. If you've been watching me for a while, you can see, or you notice I always look behind me. I'm always looking around. It's mostly because I'm checking for brass. I'm looking at where the brass casings are ejecting from outside of the pistol. And sometimes when I catch them, I give a hey-oh. That's just a little thing that I like to do. It's when the casing actually goes from the gun into the bucket, depending on where I'm shooting. Anyway, so yeah, you can see it's pretty clean. I haven't been here for a minute, so like I said, I picked up that one brass casing, but it's been pretty nice. You could tell when people have been shooting here because they leave a lot of trash. There was a mattress here someone picked up, so that was nice. But I really took pride in trying to get everything together because, in terms of the refuse, because there was spent shotgun shells here all over the place, and I really took time to come here and pick up. Every single time I come in, I try to get at least a couple pieces of refuse to take back with me, so that when I'm here, I leave it better than when I came in. Of course, I pick up my own. Anything that's spent, I pick it up. And then when I come back, I try to get a couple of shotgun shells, people that have come in and utilize the area. I'm no judge, right? Because we're no better than anybody else. And I just try to do well by what we have and what we've been given for the short time that we are here. So that is something that I wanted to pass on to all of you. If you are shooting on land, or even if you're around and you see something on the ground that wasn't your responsibility, maybe take the time to pick it up. Of course, if it's bloody or has a bunch of mucus or diseased liquids and stuff on it, don't pick it up. But using your best judgment, we can leave it better than when we came in. And we can't make a big dent in a lot of different things in life, but the little stuff that we can with the small circle that we have, maybe try a little bit. Actually, I'll just pick this one up right now. Maybe try a little bit so we can do right by each other. Okay. Review. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I know I just gave my spiel about the whole excuse me, refuse, and I'll do it some more. I'll give another backdrop at the other range that I shoot at. I can see all the plastic bags and everything. What I do is I kind of step outside also and get a lay of the land to, or when I'm driving out too, I like to pick up some garbage. So, Ruger RXM 1,000 round review. Thank you for being here. That was okay. I took my time with the shots, but I missed one at 10, 12 yards. That was weird. But felt amazing as usual. It was just a nice couple shots. This is going to be a review. You've watched me before, you know what I do. And this is going to be 3 cons, 3 pros, nuances with the pistol, firearm, and then my opinion, my take of it. But before we get into all that, I got some comments about the reasons potentially why I was inaccurate. Now, I want to preface this and give some context. There have been firearms which I've been very excited about and couldn't wait to shoot, and RXM, the Ruger RXM being one of them, but then also the Springfield Armory Echelon comp. just the Echelon platform that I also was very excited to be engaging with and firing. And it didn't turn out that well. I wasn't connected with the pistol or the firearm as much to where I could be accurate, even though there have been and there will be pistols that you'll see and firearms that you'll see that I am. And it's the first time I've been shooting them, and it's just oh, the Walther PDP Pro E compact 4-inch, that one, it just sang. I get chills because that thing went so good, and I shot it so very well that Master Chief pistol I could not miss, and I was just so excited to shoot that, and I'm very surprised as well. That platform did very well with me at various distances and grains, whereas the Ruger RXM, Springfield Army Echelon, those ones didn't have that connection, even though I wanted it and I felt it, all of the characteristics of the pistol. I was with it mentally, but then physically it just didn't work out, and I don't know what that is, and it's probably me. Of course it's me, right? What I want to talk about is the commenters talking about, well, maybe the sights were off, the factory iron sights, which is what I shoot. Not necessarily, because I had that issue with one of the first reviews that I did with a Canik Mete MC9 Prime. I was on target, I was sideline picture, everything was good, and I was still hitting to the left. So I had to aim right to hit left. Therefore, I'm shooting in the middle, hitting off the target, have to aim right, then I'll hit the middle. That has to do with the cross-eye dominance. So I keep both eyes open when I am firing. Therefore, I'm going to have a disparaging perspective, I guess you'd say, in that because my dominant eye, which is my right eye, I can line that up and I hit center mass or wherever I'm pointing. Once I open up that left eye, then I have a skew, just a tad. And that's that cross-eye dominance. If you look it up, I had to do some research and Google that. But that's what's taking place, not the sights. And also my stance. It was mentioned if I tried to, instead of doing a isosceles, to do a weaver stance, which is, whatever your strong foot is forward and then you come up. And also, I'm sorry, not also, but this is how I used to shoot when I was working, back in my day, when I was working in private security and bodyguard and all that stuff, that I actually did stand like that. When I was doing requals, I would stand with my weaver stance, 1 foot forward. We'd be center, and then I'd come forward, and then I kind of crouch down and bend down and get hunched over and then shoot. Since I've been starting this journey with all of the firearms that I have, and I want to shoot through at least 1,000 rounds, I wanted to do something different, and then also too, I would always close one eye just to have my dominant eye open so I could hit the target along with the weaver stance. I've noticed that since I started, I wanted to try something different, to do an isosceles stance with both legs shoulder width apart, just about, maybe a slight bend, keep your shoulders square, and head up straight, because this way you're not coming down and trying to make yourself, I guess, a smaller target, which is what I've heard, and all these different discussions about that sort of stance and why you do it. Comment down below if this is the way you've trained. That's also the way excuse me, that I started when I first started shooting. Is I would have my right foot back, as my left foot is my strong foot, I suppose, even though I'm goofy when I snowboard back in my day. But anyway, that's besides the point. I used to come down, close one eye, and then shoot. And now I do the isosceles stance, and I just come up and keep both eyes open. Very different, but it's shown to be quite successful. Like I said, some firearms I have incredible accuracy with, but then others, it's a little bit tougher. It's not as successful with the stance and the eye perspective, all that stuff. And I can't say that that's the problem, right? Because I have been shooting so many different firearms, and I've had success rates. If you've watched my channel, and you've seen, this is how I've been standing also too, with the change of a tire, you know, I've started wearing the cowboy hat and everything. It's going to come down just a little bit, so I have to kind of have my head up to see. And yes, I know that's something that I can fix. I don't need to be wearing it, but I just decided that that's going to be my get up, right? Doesn't take away from the shooting experience. And if I did do a Weaver stance and then one eye open, perhaps I'd be a little bit more accurate. I might try that sometime down the line when I do comparisons, when after I get, excuse me, I get all of the reviews through. I'm going to fix my facial hair really quick. After I get all my reviews through, or as I do my reviews, that's the stance that I will keep. Just because I like it, I want to get used to it, and out with the old, in with the new. Not necessarily, just something that works for me, and it's my personal choice. But I also want to pass that on to you. How do you stand? How do you shoot? One eye open, one eye closed, dominant eye, Weaver stance, isosceles. And there's also a modified isosceles where you have just one foot slightly ahead of the other, but you're standing squared up, you know, bringing the firearm, the sights up to your sight. What do you use? How do you shoot? And do you notice a difference? Have you tried something else? What works for you? And I've started this channel passing the question on to the community of people that watch it. I don't do things because I tell everybody this is the only way you should do it. Obviously, we're old enough nowadays and enlightened enough to know what works for me might not work for you. This firearm may work for you, may not work for me. I wanted this thing to be super accurate when I shot it, but I just sometimes I couldn't. I could hit it and I couldn't hit it. I think that was a good example of the first 5 shots of my experiences. I could hit and I could also not, even though I felt like I was on point. So again, what I do doesn't necessarily work for everybody. It's just my perspective, and through my body of work, this is why I'm doing all these reviews and showing all the 100 rounds that I shoot, the different grains, different distances, is so we can all talk about and gather our data so that I can say, well, this is what I saw, this is what I felt, this is what I heard, and you know, all of the other characteristics that I talk about when I fire these firearms. Let's put that data together and see what you came up with and how you approached your firearm experience and our hobby and all of that jazz. Okay, all that out of the way. I want to thank everybody too for commenting and bringing these things up, because even though it's going to make the review a little bit longer, I like to talk about it because that's the reason why I am here. This has been a 7-month journey so far, every single day, and I've been doing it since December. It's been incredible. Thank you again so much. Keep them coming in. Please comment and say I suck. You should stop. I got a comment. Guy was like, you should stop shooting videos. You really are bad at it. And I had to comment back to him, and I said, you know what, you're absolutely right. I quit, but I'll be back tomorrow. So yeah, it's a fun gig to have, to see the I don't know, the angst, I suppose, of people putting in their 2 cents without giving any sort of feedback, right? Just saying you suck, and it's like, oh, okay, well, dang, it's too bad, right? And you know, we've all dealt with that type of vitriol, I guess, coming at us, but we take it on the chin and keep going, because man, like I said at the beginning, we only got a short time, and I could feel it ticking. So I really do appreciate every single day that I get to do these things, and I can still step out of my vehicle and have both legs and not sprain it, not twist my ankle, right? So all of these things we take into consideration and makes us appreciate just everything, right? So this particular platform and this particular endeavor that I'm doing, sharing with all of you, is what I appreciate. So thank you again so much. Let's get into it. 3 cons, 3 pros, nuances, and what might take. First con, reverb, and let's take it back a little bit. Texture. So that's a nitpick, really, but it's something that I want in my pistols. No big deal because of the platform that this is. Ruger having done so well with their firearms, and this firearm in particular. I would have liked the texture to come up a little bit higher. I'm sorry, not higher, but a little bit over on the trigger guard, because where I hold like the Echelon, the Springfield Echelon has that. It's got texture in the front. It even has texture on the guide rod, the spring guide rod up front. Texture underneath. It would have been nice to have. It's a nice to have. It's a negative for me, but it's not something that it's going to deal break or be a deal breaker for the firearm. So just the texture for me, number one con is it didn't have that texture. And also too, the texture around the firearm, it's nice. I think it does hold well, and I have no problem, but it may be a little bit more aggressive. I feel it goes all the way up to the slide, generally speaking, so that's nice. But excuse me, maybe a little bit more, and it has nice texturing all around the pistol. Just a couple of places, very nitpicky because of how well everything else is with the firearm. So texture is number one. Now, number two is the feature set. Even though the feature set has far more than the Glock 19, which is what this is based off of, Gen 3, it's missing a full Picatinny. And I think that with the Glock 19, I have one. I'm not going to grab it, but I do believe it has that negative also. It just has that one little slot for a specific type of light TLR. I don't know. I haven't put on light on this pistol, but it would have been nice to have a full Picatinny. That's, again, nitpicky. Looking at the entire thing and the price, and also too, it does come with optics cuts, so that is nice. I don't know if you have to have a plate, but it would have been nice to have a full Picatinny. So that feature set negative is another con number two. Con number three is an objective one, not necessarily a subjective negative, sort of like what was the last one? The Ross Martin, where I can see why people would not like something based upon the overall consensus, the trigger. Con number three is the trigger. A lot of people, they do not like that Glock style trigger, and this one has a pull. The wall is right here, so the take up is minimal, wall, and then you squeeze, and I'll do it with my other hand. So take up right there, there's the wall, and then squeeze. Oh, that was bad. So take up, wall, squeeze. There you go, some squish, forgiveness, squish, and then break. A lot of people, they don't like, and then the reset. Reset's a little further out too. Personally, I don't mind, especially if it's a duty carry, if it's something that I'm carrying as an EDC, which you can do, and we'll get to that in the pros. And I would carry this. This is very nice. 19s are a good carry, and this is a solid EDC, I would profess. But I can see how people would not like that stock trigger out the box. So, and some of you have commented and mentioned to me that you have replaced that trigger, because I can see, being the duty pistol, you want to have something, whatever your preference is, right? For the most part, that's why I caught a lot of flack for that Canik. I still get comments about how my take, and then thumbs down on how that hot take about the trigger, that I don't want that on my EDC is bad. So it's good. I like that I can stir up the pot, and I can also start that well you suck conversation, because we have to look outside. We have to look outside what our preferences are, instead of saying, well, this is everybody says it's great, and it's great. It's like, man, everybody jumps off a cliff, and we should jump off a cliff. Again, that's not to say that trigger should be banned or panned for being too, light on the pull for an EDC. But again, my philosophy and principles of why I carry and what I would prefer, that's my own, and that doesn't translate over to everybody else, so I can take it. Again, going back to this trigger for the RXM, I like it. I like that it has a little bit of forgiveness. But if we're going to be looking at negatives, objectively speaking, I can see that as a negative coming from Glock 19s. Everybody, talks about those triggers. This trigger is what you may expect from a Glock 19, in that it has a lot of that squish, and the reset is a little further out. I can look at other triggers and say, yeah, that one I can see is very objectively, like the Ross Martin. Take up is nothing, wall is right there, break is amazing, reset is just, it's awesome, and I do like that. And it's also heavy, so the trigger is heavier. But I can see positives and negatives on both sides. Okay, that being said, that third con being the trigger, objectively speaking, let's go to the pros. The pros is, well, nothing. The gun's terrible. Okay, see you later. I'm just kidding. So, first pro is the grip. When you first grip the pistol, it just feels like, oh man, that feels like home. It feels like home. I would like a little bit more texture here as I put my hands on it, but it feels so good in my hands. And I know the Glock. For me, the Glock 19 feels a little full in your hands, which it's not a bad thing, but this just feels, I don't know, it just feels different, especially with the gas pedal here and the cutout for your trigger finger rest. It feels nice. Feels so nice. So that to me is a big part of every firearm, is that initial grip. And when you want to feel a gun, you go to the gun shop. Obviously you can't shoot it, but that's your first impression of the look, the feel, stance, the weight. A little bit, and I will mention that in a nuance, is that the weight is a little bit top or front heavy, but that's because I have an empty mag. Anyway, grip, number one pro, feels amazing. Really, really nice inside your hands. So next one is going to be modularity. I got really excited about this because I heard about the modularity like the I think the P365, the P320 from SIG, the Springfield Armory Echelon. A lot of companies are doing that now, where they have the trigger group on the inside. You can just take out and swap into a new grip. So that modularity is amazing, and for that price, wow, that's awesome. So you have the ability to get a subcompact, and I showed that too, and I want to get feedback from people to see. I haven't posted that yet, but feedback from people about what you want to see first, either a subcompact swap or the full-size swap, and I'm going to do both. I'm not going to shoot the 1,000 rounds through them, but I'm going to swap them out, and that's awesome. And they're like $39 or $35, right? To swap out everything. I mean, you got to take the hardware out of the current one and put it inside the new one, but that's still amazing to me to have that ability to modularly, or change with modularity, the firearm. So that's pro number two, is that modularity is outstanding. You can have any size firearm with one trigger group, one serial number. The last pro is the price. The price is around, this one I got for $600, so it was more expensive because, excuse me, the Cerakote on the top and it came with a threaded barrel, made it a little more expensive. I probably paid too much, but I just got excited when I saw it, and I was supposed to get an FDE, but the guy didn't have it, so he had these ODG versions, so I got that instead. My first RXM was the typical black and dark navy grip, black slide and dark navy grip, and that was $420. I'll put the price up and the exact price, and that was amazing. I was giddy about how cheap it was. And then on the other hand, when I started making other purchases for other firearms, darn, excuse me, that happens when I talk too much, as I start to build up phlegm, so pardon me. The other firearms that I purchased, like the Ross Martin, which was $320, or $340, was just leaps and bounds better than price, than the RXM. But in this class, in this competition with all these Glock 19 variants, Glock 19 clones, Glock 19 platform, I'm excited. It was exciting to me to have that ability to get these Glock 19 types and at varying prices, so I can bring them to you, bring them here, and go over those reviews with everybody at varying prices to just to give my take. So that price, third pro, amazing. $400 some. You could probably get it for cheaper now, and find used ones for at the same price as a Ross Martin, RM1C or RM1S, RM1F, all of those different ones. They are like the RXM, even though you can't swap out. It's not modular like the RXM is. Sorry, I'm talking about the Ross Martin. Anyway, price was amazing. So third pro is the price. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. Now, nuances. So nuance number one is little touches. So the little touches I find, the slide serrations, the optic cut, all this is part of the feature set, but I like those little touches that it comes with for what this is, and you're not paying a Glock price, and the Glock doesn't have these small little details that are so nice. They're just nice little touches that I really do appreciate, from those gas pedal texturing, the optics cut, which is a pretty big nuance, right, to have that on there. But now it's kind of standard for all the firearms to have the modularity, the slide serrations, the color, but that was something I paid for. So that little touches, those little things, those little nuances, I really did enjoy. So another nuance, which I don't think should be a nuance, but because I had so many other big pros, is the recoil. The recoil on this firearm is incredible. Let's do 5 more rounds. Let's start with the 12 because I want to get my, there you go. Oh, too high. Let's do the last one. There we go. The recoil, it's not bad. And when you grip onto it properly, like I was a little bit too high on this couple shots. Man, that felt recoil, it just doesn't feel like the Gen 3 Glock 19. You expect to have that recoil and the felt recoil of that Glock 19 from Gen 3. But this one is just different. And maybe that's just me. Again, maybe that's something that I experienced because of all the characteristics of myself, being a height, weight, girth, all that stuff. But recoil for me, man, that nuance is amazing, and I love it. Yeah, not enough good things to say about this firearm. The price being the big point, and that modularity all coming together, man. And then the full package, everything just blends so well, so that you're thinking every time you're shooting, oh, price, man. Oh my God, the feature set for that price. Oh, the recoil is incredible for the price, and I can carry it and I can switch it for that price. That goes into my opinion. Just like the RM1C from Ross Martin, just like the Echelon, all these firearms, I really, really do enjoy. This is a perfect, like the RM1C, I didn't mention that, but this is a perfect beginner's firearm, and I've mentioned it before, and I mentioned it in other videos, and you'll hear me always say it. To start with, this is spectacular. For the price, everything that you get with it, your ability to do different things, and if you're a Lego guy or you like building models, which I do enjoy. I mean, who doesn't like to build stuff, right? To swap out the parts and make it into something different, it's so cool. It's so cool, and I'm really looking forward to that. I also anticipate that it may not go the way that I would want it to go, and I always keep that in the back of my mind, but chances are with the reliability too. Oh, and I had a couple of failure to feed stovepipe with it, but that could have been the ammo, and it wasn't. Although some of the other firearms didn't have that issue, I'm not gonna ding it too much. I will note it for sure, but it's not going to bring it down any, because it wasn't consistent. If it wasn't consistent, that's okay, because you expect that sort of thing to happen with mechanics and with mechanisms that fire and explode inside. So the small issues like that stovepipe and the misfeed, or the failure to feed, was with that Federal flat-nosed ball ammo. I'm not gonna worry about that. So anyway, going back to the take, is beginner firing, learning to shoot, perfect, awesome. RM1C, I'd have these both together. The dagger, the PSA dagger, that's another great one because of the price, but it's inconsistent, and I've shot a couple of them. One of them, the compact, the sight flew off, the front sight flew off near the very end. So that was odd, and I heard horror stories, but it did well, and it's not bad to get into. I don't think that it should be the staple, and I don't think you could carry it. But this, you could carry. I would carry. The RM1C, I would carry. My take is, buy it. Anybody from shooter to beginner to range to duty carry, this fits just like the Glock 19 Gen 3 as it set that precedence for everything else. The Ruger RXM coming in hot with this thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful firearm, my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. With a grain of salt, do your own research, do your own, shoot the firearm by yourself, and don't take my word for it. I am not the expert. I love this hobby. I really, really enjoy it. Tell me your experience. Give to me what worked for you, what didn't, because I'd love to hear it. And also, yeah, critique and tell me, yeah, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, this is good, that's bad, etc. And I take it all. That's it. It's a long one. I know it's a little bit longer, but hopefully you stuck through all of it. And I just thank everybody so much. It's a beautiful day. I love being outside, even though I prefer being inside, and it's a little secret for you. But this has been incredible, incredible. I can't wait to shoot the next firearm. I don't even have in my mind. Oh, I need to finish the subcompacts and the carry specifically. I've got a couple more of those, so anticipate that coming up soon, tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, recommend, all that jazz, not in that particular order. I'm thinking if I forgot anything, because this is off the cuff, I don't like to have too much of a script. I just have my notes here. Okay, you're all awesome. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. I'll be back. Trying to think of a different moniker than aim for center mass, pick up your brass, wash your ass, and say hi to your mom for me. I tried that for a while, but I think I'll change that and just stay awesome. Stay tuned. I appreciate you. Okay, that's it.